Greetings one and all. All right, I'm back from the studio, back from Vale Studios, where I've been making the Lookout record for my second Toby and the Whole Truth album. First one came out in 1995, so 29 years ago. So it's about time I made another one, isn't it? Yeah, so I thought it was about time I started talking about how we're going to release this music, because you know, times have changed, as we know, but I'm very sort of invested in the idea that owning physical property and keeping up that whole concept of what album making is about, because it's not just about the sort of music within the grooves, it's the whole concept that surrounds it, the universe that you build as an artist to, you know, help everyone understand what the messages are in the music, and also to bring I guess a sort of a whole, like I say, a whole universe, a whole world of value to the music and everything associated with it. So I thought I'd get started by sharing you a little bit of the artwork. Now, a week or so ago, we had our studio event where we had some fans come up to the studio and visitors and hang out with us and hear a little bit of the music. And part of that day included a goodie bag to those that had come along. And thank you to all of you that did, for a start. And we included a t-shirt and also some posters. So I'm going to show you the posters. Now, this is only one minor element of the album artwork, created by the amazing Stuart Dilly, as usual, who is a superb artist and the only guy I would use. And yeah, so just going to show you, we did 3 posters. So this is the first one. So we're calling this character the Running Man. That's the first one. Here is the second one, in all his orange glory there, well, the orange background anyway. And another one like that. Now, we produce these on high quality card, and it just gives you an indication of the sort of style that I've gone for this time on this record, because like I say, I want this whole thing to feel all encompassing, artwork through to the music, through to the graphics, and the way that we physically release this music. Okay, so how are we going to do this? I've been giving this an awful lot of thought, and I've decided what I'm going to do, because we've recorded 20 songs, 20 full-blown masters, so that really is essentially a double record. That's you know, could be 2 albums of 10 tracks. But I'm also going to include, as part of this whole package, in various ways, all of the demos that I created for this magnum opus of mine. Now, the reason why I'm doing that is because I want you guys to understand the process of how I went from writing these little ideas, creating some very basic demos at home, which is, I've got to say, was one of the first times I've ever done it in this way. But then taking those demos and progressing them into masters that we've now created at Vale. So the whole process is there. So that essentially will be roughly 40 pieces of music. So it's a lot of music. So with that in mind, I've decided to release this whole thing in 3 chunks. So we're going to do it as 3 mini albums over a course of almost a year, essentially. So the first one we're looking at releasing at the end of July. And the second one we're thinking of releasing sometime, I think, around about the beginning of October. And the last one of these mini albums will be released in January. So that splits it up. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is, like I say, it's because I think if I gave 20 songs out as a double album, for instance, a lot of the songs would get lost. So I want this to be almost like bite size, be able to consume this in a more measured and I'm hoping sort of like absorbent fashion. So I'm currently sort of looking at ways of doing that, because, for instance, I could release one of the mini albums that contains what I would call the more up-tempo or the more rockier stuff. Then I think second mini album could possibly contain the sort of more the lightweight stuff, the more lighter ballady sort of acoustic stuff, and the third one possibly could contain all the more, I guess, slightly off-center stuff. And it's not necessarily experimental, but the stuff that is kind of perhaps more album based. Now, that's one concept. We're thinking about doing that. I might just mix it all up, but essentially what you're going to get is you're going to get 6 or 7 official tracks on this mini album, plus a selection of the demos to accompany those songs. Now, as well as that, we are looking at releasing a lot of digital information, a lot of digital assets that you'll get free for downloading, essentially, when this record is put out, including lyrics, liner notes, etc. But also there's going to be booklets within these mini albums, not EPs, they're mini albums, that will accompany these releases, and we're looking to put the whole thing together in a collector's box. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I think it's a cool and interesting way of evolving this music and releasing this music, so it becomes a collectible thing. And the box is going to be, big enough to contain all the CDs, all the booklets, etc. Now, on top of that, I'm looking at releasing various T-shirts to do with the artwork for each of the mini albums, and also screen printed, high quality screen printed posters and various other bits of artwork as well. So we're really digging deep into what you can get and bringing as much value to this as possible, because I think that journey is important. I think it's a kind of lost art, is the releasing of albums. Back in the day when I was a teenager, when records and vinyl albums were huge, obviously it was the norm. Now it's become something that, vinyl's the special piece at the end. Now, the great thing about the album format is the size of it, so you get to see the artwork and see it in all its glory. We know this, and obviously I've done that with Wayward Sons. But this time I've decided to do it slightly different. Now, each of these sleeves for the mini albums is going to be one part of a panoramic piece of artwork that only works if you put the images side by side. So when you do put them all side by side, it creates, like I say, a panoramic image, and you'll then understand the full complexity of this record. Now, I'm calling it Look Out, like I've said, and I've explained before, because I think there's sort of connotations to that word. It has layers to it, like I said, you're either looking out for something, or you're the lookout, maybe like a getaway, like the sort of getaway car driver, that sort of thing, or you're shouting look out as a warning. So there's layers to it, and I think that's interesting. That's what's interesting about the English language, is that there are complexities to certain words that can mean a number of things, and that's what I like about it. But this record is essentially a record about recovery. It's about me finding my way back in after coming to terms with quite a few things in my life and having to find a new way forward, and specifically about mental health and men's mental health, because I don't think men speak or talk about mental health enough, and obviously in the music business there's been a lot of casualties of that, Kurt Cobain being one obvious one. So I wanted to talk about this and be as honest as I possibly can about that. That is kind of reflected in the artwork, although it is quite cryptic. But I'm very, very pleased with the way this is working out, and I'd love your opinion about this idea. What do you think about the idea of me releasing 3 mini albums over a period of months, in a box set, collected together? I'd like to know what you think about that. Obviously, we're I think we're pretty much set on the idea, but it'd be interesting to know what your reaction is about that. But there will be, for all vinyl lovers out there, we will be releasing a vinyl, or what we're going to call the official classic 12 songs for this record. So really, essentially, these mini albums are going to have like 4 what we consider to be the A-list tracks, then with a couple of extra tracks, and then the demos. And so at the end of the campaign, there will be a vinyl that will contain those official 12 tracks with all the artwork and everything. But that will probably come towards the end. This is a state of flux. We are getting through the planning stages of this at the moment, and your opinions will help us with this. But that's roughly the plan. So I hope that comes across as an exciting prospect. It gives me a chance to sort of let this music breathe a little bit. I get worried that you put out so much music, quite often some songs get lost in the midst of it all, so I think this is a good way of consuming it and digesting it over a period of time where you can really get used to the stuff. And of course, anyone who's coming on the tour to see me and Dave play the tour through May and June, which starts not a lot long way now, only 2 or 3 weeks, we will be playing a couple of songs from the record and talking about the making of this record. And there will be a little bit of merchandise available for you as well, to do with the record. So yeah, lots of stuff to come. I hope this all sounds interesting, and I really hope that you guys are willing to get on board with it, and I very much look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks a lot.